welcome to Are We the Only Ones? I'm Kathy, and today there is so much news. Okay, so Adelita Gruvalda has been sworn in, and she signed the petition basically immediately, which is badass of her. And then when she called out Speaker Mike Johnson during like a press conference, they were asking her what took so long, and she basically like gestured to him like, which was phenomenal. That was women roaring. That was a very her story moment, right? And the other thing that has happened is because of the petition signing, the Republicans decided to try to get out. I would say ahead, but it wasn't really ahead because the Democrats actually released 3 emails first, and those emails have gone obviously viral. And now what I was interested in seeing was how how some things take traction or have traction and other things take time. And this took time in the beginning because if you've been with this podcast since our day ones have been, you know that we've been talking about the files. We've been talking about the legal filing. We've read the charges in the actual legal filing with Katie Johnson. We have read a lot of the other charges that were public record. And now all of a sudden with this release, I think the public needed to see Jeffrey Epstein's words from beyond the grave, basically. And it's ironic that it's Jeffrey Epstein's emails that end up being sort of the linchpin in this entire thing because, we're talking about like, what about her emails with Clinton? I can only imagine that Hillary Clinton right now is just feeling extremely vindicated. And, justice grinds slow, but it's moving in the right direction. No pun intended. Sort of pun intended. And the other thing that has been kind of percolating on the internet that I wasn't really sure if it was real because I thought it was like satirical because, with this particular presidency, like some things can be satirical and still hit it on the nose and be like just off enough that like it could be true. But this is something that I'm seeing over and over again. So one of the emails, by now I think you've already heard on your own news time because it's basically like shit hit the fan for the Trump administration, big time. And I would say that Pam Bondi, on the call out right now, is looking at some serious criminal charges and probably jail time for her role in everything in this administration. There was an order, I believe it's Judge Cummings, that demanded, 600 people that were detained by ICE illegally are being held in, I think it's the Venezuelan prison, are being ordered to be released. And obviously they've been suffering and most likely been tortured. So there's going to be a bunch of accountability that will have to come for those people. And now we have other emails that Jeffrey Epstein had written about Donald Trump being the dog that hasn't barked yet, talking to Ghislaine Maxwell in this email. Basically, he's upset that Donald Trump's name doesn't come up in any of the stuff that's basically like this is when Epstein is getting called out. And the walls are closing in on Epstein, and he's getting frustrated that the person he hung out with, if not the most, one of the most people that had spent the most time with him on a personal level, friendship level, his name was not being mentioned in the press. And he's a little upset about it in this email. And the interesting thing is because we know that Trump was able to do a lot of catch and kill. So this is probably part of why those things never surfaced. And there's, now he does say that, or Virginia Giuffre in her memoir says that Donald Trump never did anything to her, right? That doesn't vindicate him from doing things to other victims, right? That just means that he didn't do anything to her, okay? There could be a lot of reasons. Maybe he knew that Jeffrey Epstein was with her all the time. Maybe he didn't want like that closeness, right? Maybe that could be it. There's also emails that this is the one that really made me feel like I needed to get on and record our day. There is one where Mark Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein's brother, is asking Jeffrey Epstein if he's got the photo of Trump blowing Bubba, which is Bubba is code name for Bill Clinton in this particular, between the two Epstein brothers. And at first I thought, like, I don't know if that's gonna hit, if anybody's gonna pick that up, if there's gonna be traction on that, because there were legal filings before that I have actually seen where there were two little boys that had gotten payouts from filing lawsuits of sexual assault that happened in Trump Tower. One was an 11-year-old boy, and it was oral intercourse. And so all of a sudden you hear this thing about Bill Clinton, and you're like, but then now it's picking up and it's going everywhere. And either way, what it says to me about the chips falling is that this is finally the momentum. I can feel this momentum is finally taking on. Like, this is going to be a really hard one for him to stop. Impeachment, I think, is going to be on the table, and the writing to me is on the wall. It's about time. We've been talking about Epstein for a long time on this podcast, and the ins and outs of understanding what it's like to be a victim, and what it's the state of mind that you're in, and how you feel, the betrayal you feel. This will do a lot for all the victims that have ever experienced betrayal from their parents, from their, not even just the perpetrator themselves, but then the system itself, right? The people that didn't support them, the people that didn't believe them. And then now they get to see what it's like to, as a collective sort of justice, we are all collectively looking at this to see what will end up happening to him. Will he end up having to really face some serious consequences? I think that there's a certain level of, like, genius timing to a certain extent. If he ends up doing all of this heinous stuff, and then by the time he gets held accountable for it, he's like got dementia and he can't really even realize that where he's at. Like, that to me, that's like the Tom Girardi situation. I'm like, this guy did all this stuff, and then by the time he gets caught, he's got dementia, and it doesn't affect him in the same way that you want somebody that did it, that would be aware of it, to have to actually, like, face themselves and face justice. So we'll see what happens in terms of, I think that it's humiliating, the idea that, like, there are many, many reels, and even 5051, which is the official No Kings organizing movement, posted a reel that had the guy that's always dressed up in, like, giraffe costumes and different costumes, and he sings, and he has a blowhorn, and he's got, like, the most hilarious social media presence, honestly. They're talking about this email, and they're actually just, like, straight up just saying that like, Donald Trump gave Bill Clinton, he was a chicken head for Bill Clinton, basically. And, Donald Trump likes to shop at BJ's for Bill Clinton. And that is basically the crazy, not at all the things that I let my brain try to imagine could be in that file. This was not anywhere near on my mind that this could be a possibility. So I don't know how he could ever, just the humiliation of the entire thing, just all of this. Like, there's the heinous crimes that are obvious to us that we all know. Many of us that are, if you're a woman, if you're someone who's dealt with sexual assault before, if you just know a creep that acts like this, you already know, like, he's been doing that. You just know, because there's a certain temperament in the way that he moves. You just know that he's definitely done a lot. Like, this is how he moved in the world. And even down to, like, when he's on Howard Stern, and Howard Stern is like, you know about sexual predators, and then Robin Quivers goes, you are one, and then Trump starts laughing, and Ivanka's, like, laughing and patting him on the back. And now with everything kind of out in the open, and you see that with, like, I've always known, because I've just always known, like, you can just sense it, but I think with extra clarity, it hits way harder on a level that when you realize all the people that had been accusing, like the people that kept saying, all you people that kept bringing up Clinton's name, and only to see that Jeffrey Epstein actually says in an email that Bill Clinton was never on that island. You guys are idiots. Because it undermined the process of us trying to even like get it. Like nobody cared. Like what about Clinton? Like this, and the whole branding, the idea that Clinton's name was in there, and that was the whole reason that none of this. What a crazy exercise. He's not even implicated in doing anything wrong in there. And he is on public record, Clinton Global Initiative co-founded with Jeffrey Epstein. So they were actively on the plane because Jeffrey Epstein was soliciting Clinton for like con man, like good vibes. If you're trying to show that you're a legitimate person, it very much helps if you're hanging out with legitimate people. So sometimes those friendships are there to help legitimize you so that you can groom other people that don't have as much power. You see how that works, right? So it is starting to come out where you can see how some people, like there was Sam Groening from The Simpsons was on the plane and met Virginia Giuffre, even like I think like signed an autograph, but never did anything with her. So there's a lot of people that, Bill Gates never did anything, but he was there visiting all the time because why? When you're trying to solve AIDS, you're trying to solve malaria, you're trying to solve smallpox, you're going to want to talk to scientists. If Jeffrey Epstein was someone who not only knew scientists, but knew heads of state, knew royalty, it would make sense that they would want to meet if he's throwing a dinner party. Let's be honest, you guys would have gone to that dinner party too. You would have gone too. And then you would have been like, no, I'm good. Like, gross, I'm never hanging out with that guy again. Just like Melinda French Gates was like, I met that guy once. I knew I didn't want to see that guy ever again. Right. But now we see how like sometimes being scared about something keeps the truth hidden when sometimes the truth will set you free. Like who thought Bill Clinton was going to get vindicated and then even like come up looking like a victim in his own right? Like, I mean, did Bill Clinton get molested by Donald Trump? Like, oh my God. What is the scenario in which that even occurs where Trump, Putin, and Clinton are in the same room? I can speculate like how I could see how that would occur. Like, oh, I dare you because if you do it, and then just like, we'll allow you to build a hotel. I'm just thinking of like, what is the scenario that you could figure out that would get that situation to have that occur? And that I can see how that would be even more embarrassing and humiliating for Trump than even like he's been so outright like going to the Miss Teen USA backstage dressing area and be like, oh, don't worry, ladies, I've seen it all before, and he's like, I can do that. I can actually do that because I own it. And he's like, I can't believe it, as he's telling Howard Stern, right? So we have all this already on audio and on video, and that is not the new information. Like it's always been there, right? Like a cloud. We've just been waiting for it to rain, and now the rain has come. It is going to be a crazy next few days when we see all of this stuff unravel. The Republicans are turning. This line is a line they will not cross. Matt Gaetz is now also implicated, the 17-year-old that he had sex with. And this is something that I want everybody to understand, that is the thing that is in common with Epstein and Gaetz, and I'm sure with Trump. All of these girls were girls that had families that abused them, had no money, and these men show up and are there to offer a quick get out of the situation resolution, and they take it. And they're sort of nice to them while it's happening, right? So if you're at home and you're wondering, how could this happen? In a patriarchal system where government resources are not available to everybody immediately when they need them, you create a system like this, a really freaky, scary black market that sometimes children have to partake in because they don't have adults that they can rely upon. And if we don't provide a system that's free for them to go access on their own, where they don't necessarily need all of this documentation to prove that they need this help. They're obviously in distress. We would be able to eradicate some of this evilness in the world if we actually had a system where people could go and not have to rely on these sugar daddy type vibes, right? There's so many stories about this. Like when you hear about how many different exit strategies for models and, you know, any girls, this is not new. But for men to finally get held responsible, that's new. And I'm here for it. So, tell me what you think. Join the conversation. Subscribe on Substack. Talk to me on TikTok, on Instagram. And let's hope this train keeps moving. Because we need justice. The whole world, I've never seen the whole world protest. For like 7 million people protested in Japan against Donald Trump. We have to, for the collective good of humanity, for the soul of America, and for all modern civilization and democracy, to prove that it is not a failure. This man must be held accountable. And it's important that even he gets due process, correct? But, I mean, there's a lot of evidence, and there's a lot of crimes in real time that he's committed by kidnapping these people. There's a boy named Benjamin Guerrero something Cruz, and he was kidnapped by ICE. He's 18 now. He was walking his dog, and he's actually neighbors with a friend of mine from high school who I still speak to, and I've been in contact with her. And they've been trying to get him out. He's been in there for 3 months. So in addition, if you guys could call Nancy Pelosi's office and demand that she help Benjamin Cruz get out of ICE detainment, I implore you to call her office and demand that she help him get out. He's been in there for 3 months. He's a really sweet kid. He's a good kid. He's a smart boy. The teachers, including my friend, have been visiting him, but it's wrong, and he's a young one. So if you're upset about the tender age prisons, this is the same thing. He's just a little bit older, okay? And so we need to do something. This is the time. All right. Until next time, thank you for joining me. Thank you for supporting me. And you guys, justice has come. Democracy is holding. Don't give up. Onward. Stay in the fight. Until next time. Bye.